Yeah, so thank you guys for joining here today. We have David Henry and Ben Coates from Softball Scouting Report and Commonwealth Baseball. So do you guys want to give a little brief background on yourselves and, how you got into this and all things that you're doing?
Yep. So I got into the travel baseball and softball through my son, like most dads that do travel programs, about 12 years ago. And in 2018, we joined in with another local club called the Express. I had the Lexington Grays that actually Walker Bueller pitched for on the very first Grays team. That first Grays team had 5 D1 players on it, believe it or not. So in 2018, we joined together with the Express, another local team, and made Commonwealth Baseball Club. And through the years, Ben has joined in with us, and he's kind of our general manager. My son's aged out, but me and my partner are still involved. Ben's managing everything. On the baseball and softball side, we've got a total of about 23 teams. So as we got into softball last year, one thing we realized was on the baseball side, prep baseball report and the recruiting profiles and everything. And there's nothing like that on softball. And when I say there's nothing like that, I'm talking verified metrics, professional video and a professional recruiting profile. There are websites like Alliance does it where people can upload videos of little Susie, at the local baseball field, that kind of thing. And they do the metrics to an extent, but there's nothing to the extent of what we're doing. So we kind of kicked it off with Playbook's help with the website. And, so that's where the softball scouting report was born. And then Ben can tell us a little bit. One reason we got into this is his uncle, and he can kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I played baseball, really liked my mentors and coaches, and wanted to give back to our local community in the same way when I graduated college and started my profession. My cousin, she was a great softball player, played at Illinois for 5 years, starting second baseman. Now she coaches at Ball State. And so I've had the passion for baseball, and her and my uncle had a passion for softball. And so I called him up and said, "Hey, who's your big competition in Kentucky? Y'all in Ohio, and you come to a tournament, and who's the Kentucky team?" And he was like, "There's really, really not one. There's maybe one or two in the whole state." And so I told David, I said, we, need to provide some resources in the local community for softball. And so that's kind of how Commonwealth Softball started on top of Commonwealth Baseball Club. Then, like David said, Softball Scouting Report was kind of built off of that.
Yeah. So, one thing, Nelson, to kind of elaborate, and I think everybody, the girls just lag behind in the boys in resources in a lot of different areas in sports. And that's what the softball scouting report is. We want to give the parents and the athletes the same resources that the boys have. And that's really the goal of it all.
I think it's interesting because, obviously with the boys, they have those Major League Baseball dreams, right?
That's right.
And on the girls' end of the game, yeah, there's been runs at it with, Athletes Unlimited and NPF and different things that have tried to put themselves out there as a pro league. And, they're revamping that again this year. But what have you seen the biggest differences between working on the girls' end of the game, versus the boys, as far as, the parents, how the girls interact with each other? What do you think are the similarities and differences there?
The similarities is both the parents on both the boys and the girls are nuts. But no, no, I'm kidding. But, everybody's passionate, which is great. The one thing I'd like to see is, like, on the club side, the baseball, we form teams of 12 to 15 players, and those teams stay with those kids stay with those teams. On the softball side, the athletes tend to skip around from team to team. And that's unfair, because you've got 7 or 8 girls that are consistently on that team, and they're paying their fee or they're doing what they need to do, and they've constantly got new players coming in. And it's not fair for the athletes on the team that are there regularly. And to be honest with you, you're getting no continuity. And, from a college, when we formed softball scouting reports, we talked to college coaches. I'm really close to she's become one of the hottest names in college softball. She's at an NAI school. It's called University of Cumberland. down in Southern Kentucky. Bailey Dillender she has taken that program to nothing to, they're the top 5 team nationally every year now. And she was a big recruit coming to high school. One of the ladies that helps us on the softball side, Samantha Jones, she was head baseball coach at Morehead State for a couple of years, and she played at UK. And a couple others, and everybody says that there are no resources for the college coaches outside of attending 3 or 4 tournaments. So on the boys' side, I can be in a college, we can talk to a college coach and we can tell them about, little Johnny that's on our 17U team. And the very first thing they do is go to PBR, pull up the video and pull up the metrics, and they watch. And it's like, okay, well, they pull the schedule up or contact the coach and they go watch them. Might be a local tournament, might be a national tournament, but that's all levels of baseball. And that's the biggest problem in softball is that's not there for softball. But, as far as differences and similarities, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. The similarities is the parents are willing to travel wherever. And I do think softball, the teams, the parents, and the kids are willing to play for teams from all over the country. I mean, we've got players here in Lexington that are playing with teams in Colorado and Indianapolis and everything like that. The boys tend to stay, I don't want to say local, but within 100 miles of their hometown. They don't go play, unless they're just an elite player, the major D1 player. You've got the girls that may end up at a D2 or D3 school still going and playing at, teams that's 6 hours away. I just don't think that's doing anybody justice. And the parents, number one, they're spending a lot of money for what?
Right. And I know you guys recently ran, your first event on the softball scouting report side. Do you guys want to talk about maybe some players that stood out, some things that you encountered or learned? Tell us about the event.
I'll let Ben talk about the players, but the event went great. It was we called a showcase. Now here's the big difference between baseball and softball. The wording. A showcase in baseball is a true combine, like a pro style combine. You hit ground balls, they throw, you get the metrics on their throwing. They run, a 60, they do all that. A showcase in softball, when you say, we're holding a showcase event in softball, well, that is a tournament with a couple coaches roaming around. Well, that's great, but we are holding, I guess, a combine showcase type stuff for the girls. So we did our first one February the 1st here in Lexington. When we started this, I told Ben, I said, the goal's 20 girls. If we get to 30, I'll be thrilled. 63 athletes came. It was awesome. It took about 4.5 hours, 5 hours to get through it all. Indoor facility.
With some technical difficulties.
A couple technical difficulties, but
always.
If the Rapsodos would work perfect, then we would have been good. But our people ran it. Our people do it all. No parents involved. We had coaches there, but they were only watching. We had about eight different schools represented here locally. And we ran these athletes through the running, the hitting, the fielding, and the pitching. We videoed everything. We measured all their metrics, and we created profiles on the Playbook website for everybody. It really was awesome. Everybody really enjoyed it. And plan on holding about 6 more this year. We're doing one in Evansville, Indiana at the end of June. We're doing another one here in Central Kentucky and end of July. And then we're probably doing one in West Virginia in October. And then we'll probably get a couple more on the books as well. But as far as the February one, you can talk about the players.
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough. Abby Hammond, who's a 2-time reigning player of the year here in the state of Kentucky, she attended. I coached baseball at Lexington Catholic, and we're lucky enough to have her on our softball team over there. And it was cool. I think a lot of the girls really liked to see her there and kind of see how they compared to someone who's going to UK and who has been really, really successful at the high school level and is going to be really, really successful in college. And we had girls from her to 2030s and kind of everywhere in between. There were 4 or 5 girls from Ohio, 4 or 5 girls from Indiana. So we had people traveling 3.5, 4 hours, to come to Lexington, Kentucky for the day and kind of go through this and, be able to get their measurables and, get a video that, college coaches will be able to take a look at, and we'll be there. I know, you can look at my perfect game profile from 15 years ago and see videos when I was 13 and 15 and 17. And I think that's pretty cool where a college coach can see players' development through the years without having to travel all over the country. And then I will say, you asked about similarities and differences. So at the combine, I noticed there was a lot of interaction with the players and the college coaches. And one thing that I noticed after the event is all the girls were posting on Twitter pictures with the college coaches, and they were posing together. And I kind of chuckled, and I was like, I couldn't imagine taking pictures with UK's coach or next to him, but it was really cool to watch seniors to eighth graders interact with the college coaches and say hello, and maybe they've attended a camp or something in the past, but be able to kind of reconnect with that coach. And it was rewarding to feel like it was an event those players could continue to build a relationship and hopefully feel like they have a chance to maybe go to that college or move on in their softball career.
Yeah, and we had about 4 or 5 college commits. Abby was just one. We had 4 or 5 others that were committed to like Center College and some other schools here around town to come. What was the neatest thing? We also put out on social media our top 10 like exit velocities and our top 10 throwing velocities and that kind of thing. It was really cool to see. We had one 20-30 girl. So she's 12 years old, maybe 11. I don't know how old she was, but she was young. She was in the top 10 in about 3 different categories. And that's what's kind of cool is she will only keep getting better. Hopefully she keeps coming back to our events. But all of a sudden, college coaches know about her. And she's
on some radar.
Yeah, she wasn't too far behind Abby Hammond, who's going to UK and, like Ben said, 2-time player of the year. So she wasn't too far behind her in some metrics. So, and there were other girls as well, but that's the one that stuck out from a young girl.
Hey, remember what's that young girl's name? Remember off the top of your head? No, that's all right. I'm going to put you on the spot with it.
Go on our Twitter and Facebook, and they're all
yeah.
Well, I'm on the website right now. I'm looking at some of the leaders. It's showing the top 5. I see a girl keeps popping up here. Chloe Patrick looks like she was
she was really good
down the line.
Correct. She was really fast. Yep.
Some numbers just stick out. Cameron Kelly had the best arm. It looks like out of Frankfurt.
Yeah.
It's really neat seeing just these girls' names pop up, and I'm sure as soon as you posted that up, got a ton of retweets and engagement going on.
That's right.
Well, and that's something that is definitely different in the baseball and softball is these girls really work hard to make sure that their Twitter profiles are something that a college coach can go look at because there really hasn't been anything else. And so there are players that are posting multiple times a week their hitting lessons and what they worked on that day. And so they've worked really hard to market themselves. And hopefully this is a resource where, it makes it a little bit easier on them.
Yeah. And Ben, with you being a high school baseball coach, the season start down there already?
Yeah.
For you guys? How's that going?
We have our first, Lexington Catholic has our first scrimmage against Harrison County tomorrow. And Harrison County actually has one of the winningest coaches in the country. Matt Whitaker's been coaching there for a long, long time. And we're fortunate enough, Scott Downs, who played at the professional level for a while, he's our head varsity coach. And we have a really special catcher in Owen Jenkins, who has been looked at by pretty much every major league team. And so we're excited to get started, and we'll kind of see what we're made of right away against Harrison County.
Cool. And how about as the larger Commonwealth group, some players to keep an eye on this spring? Who are your top dogs that are getting a lot of interest?
Well, so we've had a good amount of commits. So actually, my second year coaching with Commonwealth, I was fortunate enough to coach Blake Campbell, who's going to Air Force, and Cooper Jackson's going to center. We've had a few other ones over the years.
So we've got Calvin Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
This is a neat story. This team, all these kids kind of played on the same team, but when they were 15 or 16.
Yeah, they were 15.
They were 15, went to PBR Nationals down in Atlanta. And Calvin hit an inside the park home run and was the second or third fastest around the bases ever recorded in a baseball game, including Major League Baseball. And he blew up. He started getting offers from everybody and for interest, I'll say. But anyway, he's going to EKU here locally to play baseball. He's an outfielder that plays for Frederick Douglass here in town, but just a super fast kid.
Logan Grubb, who pitched for us last year, got a strikeout or two over at UK the other day. It was fun to watch a Commonwealth Baseball Club alum, succeed at the SEC level as a freshman.
So that team, I mean, we've got another 3 or 4 players off that team going to play college baseball in the high level. But that kind of put that team on the map. Those are probably, as far as in our program, the high level kids right now. And we've got some other kids at 16 and 17U that are obviously going to play college. What level will soon to be seen. With the college recruiting landscape changing in today's world with the transfer portal and UK about a month ago, we had 3 or 4 kids here locally committed to UK, and they pulled a couple of their scholarships. So the landscape is definitely changing in college sports. So making it tough.
And because we're not busy enough, one of the other things we do is we run a college league in the summer. We have 5 or 6 college teams, and I think that is growing in importance as high school players are maybe having to go to an NAIA or a JUCO school versus, their dream of being a D1 player straight out of high school. They have to grow and develop and strengthen themselves a little bit before that D1 coach will, pull them up. Here locally, we have a school, Midway, that the average age of their starter is 22 and a half. So being an 18-year-old guy at a high school, being able to jump in there and contribute right away is few and far between. So that college league that we have, I think, is a great resource for players that want to, improve and maybe make a jump to a bigger school year to year.
Yeah, no doubt. And you beat me to it. I was going to ask the question about the recruiting landscape and how it was affecting things. And one thing that I've talked about with a few guys that run organizations or even college coaches is you may see travel ball go into 18, 19, 20 years old now, and kids.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas JUCO is obviously a great route. I'm a former JUCO coach, so I'm always going to endorse that. But at the same time, if they know that's competition, you may see those travel programs extend, and kids are just going to play ball there, like in the academy, and then take college classes, right? So their clock doesn't start. I think you're seeing a lot of those prep programs down in Florida, on the East Coast, and popping up more and more to try to combat that. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out and just how wide that spectrum becomes.
Well, and the other issue is we've talked to college coaches here locally is like, let's say Morehead State or Eastern Kentucky. Do they want to send their pitcher that throws 94, 93, 94, 95, their number one pitcher? Do they want to send them off to, a bigger college league and where colleges are going to see him and get poached away? So, we're hoping the college league grows because of that. What's interesting, though, Nelson, is we do have kids, our college league encompasses D3 through D1 players, NAIA, JUCO, every level. We'll take it. As long as you're playing college baseball, you're welcome. Through the years, we've had several of the incoming freshmen for college that are going to, say, UK or Morehead State or the local colleges. And, they come in with their chest puffed out. I'm the big D1 player. They can't compete against a 21-year-old D3 player.
No doubt.
That 21 D3 player is light years ahead of an 18-year-old D1 player. Light years.
Yep.
As a whole. I mean, there's some are, but as a whole.
For sure. I mean, there's kids that are just, naturally more gifted and might be able to make up for some. But I mean, if you think about it, 3 years at that age, that's still more than 10% of their life. That's a significant difference of experience and strength and mindset, being confident. I mean, it's wild to see the difference. And I did for a long time. I'm still a part of a college league up here, but we had 2 or 3 teams in it, and same deal. There'd be freshman D1 players that would just assume they're going to walk right in, start in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah.
Like we're struggling to find you at bats right now.
All right.
Just you're not there, right? You're going to get there. No doubt you're going to get there. But don't sleep on these D3 kids here that have been putting in the work. It might have been a late bloomer or whatever else. Yeah,
we had a D3 player here locally played for Transylvania that just got drafted in the 9th round. And he played when my son played with him at Trancey. And Kid's phenomenal. His dad played at Vanderbilt, and he had an offer to go to UK for his 4th year or 5th year. Yeah, he got drafted, and he went on the pros. One of the best hitters. I mean, he got power. He's a shortstop, center fielder, and he's as good as any D1 player around.
And having gone through it, I mean, you've seen it from all angles, right? As a parent, as somebody that runs an organization, as a coach, across the full spectrum. What advice would you give to parents that are going through it for the first time that maybe you wish you would have known years ago?
Enjoy the experience and make it fun for your kid at the young age groups. These parents, and we see it, and we've all been there, right? 13, and this is even more prevalent with what we've been talking about. And this goes with softball too. 13, 14, and 15 really don't mean anything. And everybody thinks, oh my gosh, my 13-year-old kid, my 14-year-old kid. And I've been tired of hearing about this, and I don't want to, but my son was 6'3" at 13 years old. Could absolutely mash a baseball. By the time he got 15 or 16, kids catch up to him. Guess what people are throwing to him at 16 years old, at 6'3"? Curveballs, change-ups. You got to learn to hit the off speed. It's easy at 13 and 14 to hit a fastball from 60 feet away from a 14U that's throwing 70 miles an hour. That's an easy one to catch up to. But when you get up in high school and kids are throwing 85 to 87 and dropping the changeup at 70 on you, it makes it tough. Make sure your kid keeps improving, enjoying the game. Don't get caught up in who's the best player, because I'll tell you one of the best stories in our program. His dad, if he were on here, he wouldn't mind me telling this. And I'm not going to tell you the name, but he went to the local college here when we had just the Grays. This was before Commonwealth baseball started. We had the Lexington Grays. He and his brother were on the number 2 team, which at the time would have been the number 3 or 4 team for the CBC club. They were okay players, weren't great players. But as the years went on, that one of the brothers started eating it up. When he got 15 and 16, he started lifting weights. That turkey was throwing 92, 93 in high school and had all kinds of D1 offers that time he was a senior in high school, more than anybody else in the city of Lexington that all played the high-level travel ball. Because he matured. He worked his butt off. He fell in love with it. And, he made something of himself. So at 13 and 14, you don't know what kids you're going to turn into. I mean, you really don't. Puberty is a great equalizer. Until everybody hits puberty, nobody knows what the kids are going to be. So just make sure they enjoy it and keep getting better and better and better. And then, we'll see at 15 to 16 who breaks through the wall.
For sure. Sure. And is that like a prevailing message? I mean, I'm sure it is in every program, but you made mention of getting in the weight room. You guys incorporate that on the CBC side? Do you talk to the girls on the scouting report side?
We do. So we mentioned Samantha Jones earlier. So we started workouts for our players. It's an additional to the fee, but she does. She's a professional trainer. So, when we're talking about lifting weights, and the trainer I go to is the gym we use, his sons play high school baseball, and he hates it when you walk into a high school weight room and go watch kids work out and they're trying to max out on the bench press at 15, 16 years old. That is not what you're doing. Now, I'm not a weight guy, so I'm the last one to tell anybody what to do, right? But, we're doing a lot of band work, a lot of calisthenics, a lot of movement type stuff, to strengthen their hips, strengthen their core, and that kind of stuff. We're trying to push that more and more and more.
And the other one is grades. If you don't have the grades, then sometimes it excludes you from certain college programs. So that's something I harp on, whether it's school ball or travel ball. Is a lot of the times 17U coaches, college coaches, their grades are some of the first questions asked about. And if you don't pass that one, then your baseball skills sometimes don't matter. And so we try to make sure everyone understands you got to be good in the classroom if you want your hard work on the field to pay off.
And Nelson, one thing, we had this past, we have a big parent meeting every year on the baseball side, and we started on the softball side too. But we try to get a guest speaker to come in, if a current college coach or something like that. And every year they all say, and the last one was Chris Prothro, he was at EKU. He's no longer at EKU, but he hit the nail on the head. When you're trying to choose a college to go play for, whether you're an athlete or the parents trying to help their son or whatever, you don't always just choose for athletes. You got to choose academic side. Mm. But there's a third factor to this whole thing, and this transfer portal is, I think, highlighting it, is you got to choose the school that's right for you socially. Mm-hmm. Because, look, we've all been to college as old guys, right? You want to go to school with your buddies who are going to be your guys when you're 40 years old, 35, and they're still your guys. And the transfer portal is taking that away a lot from these current athletes. Don't know what's getting taken away from them. So, okay, you may go to LSU, but you may sit the bench and never play. Or you could go over here to, Bellarmine or whatever, a D2 school or lower level D1 school or whatever. And you know what? Socially, you might have a better, you might have a better time, academics and everything. So, there's a lot when you're choosing a school, you're choosing the athletic school that fits your athletic ability. But academics and social, who the kids you connect to and who you want to be hanging around for 4 years. Hopefully it's 4 years. And that's a big deal that's being missed out in college sports right now with all the transfer stuff. And people are not finding a home, because you need to find a home that you're comfortable with and where you want to be. That's a big part for a young kid's life.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the loyalty aspect and the kind of seeing it through is lost for sure. Couple things there, like when you're talking about the academics, one, just for some round numbers, what I always tell the kids is pretty much for every half point your GPA goes down, you eliminate a quarter of the schools, right? So if there's 1,600 schools that play college baseball, you go from a 4 to a 3.5, you went from 1,600 to 1,200. You go down to a 3.0, now you're at 800, you go down below 2.5, there's 400 JUCOs out there that might give you a shot, and half of which you probably can't play X, you're not good enough anyways.
Right.
So it's amazing how quickly the decisions they make, even as a freshman or a sophomore, are going to impact their opportunities later as they go through it.
Absolutely.
So a couple other things, and then we'll let you guys get going and probably eat a good lunch out there at the country club. But looking at what's ahead, I know you mentioned the locations of the future showcases that you're running. Where can people find out more information on those, and how can they sign up? Is it an invite-only deal?
So right now, softballscoutingreport.com, which is, the website through Playbook. I would advise people go on there. One thing we're excited to announce, and we haven't even put it out on social media or anything, but we're getting ready to this week, so I'll go ahead and put it out there, is we are partnering with Alliance for all of our tournaments to be points driven. Teams that come to our tournaments can earn points for their, big girl tournaments. And then for 10 and 12U, we are going to be giving berths away for their bigger tournaments. So we just found that out this past week. So we're excited about that. Right now we have tournaments listed in Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky, hopefully soon coming to Tennessee. But yeah, if you go to softballscoutingreport.com, you can either go to the tournament tab and find our tournaments there, or you can go to the showcase tab and find our combine/showcases. Remember, showcases means a combine, not a tournament showcase. So yeah.
And then David, how about on the CBC?
It's CommonwealthBaseballClub.com. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't been on it for a while. Yeah. So we've got actually 3 websites for CBC. We've got CommonwealthBaseballClub.com, which has all our teams listed and information on that. We've got CommonwealthSoftballClub.com for the softball side, and then we've got CCBL or it's something like that. But the links are all on each website. You can link one of them, but we have a college website along with the softball and the baseball website.
Great. And tryouts are?
We'll start holding tryouts in early August for 2026. Yeah. So we're working on next year and some exciting things for next year for some changes.
Is there anyone out there, whether it's players, parents, individual coaches in your program, that you guys want to give a shout out to? Just people that really make this thing work beyond the two of you, those other
partner Mark Hukel as well. I'll tell you this, we talked to, the coaches are the key to all the programs. And that's just not our program. That's everybody's program. They're the frontline salespeople. And I will say our 16 coaches and 6 or 7 on the softball side, I feel like, our coaches are excellent at working with the kids. They're passionate. You're always going to get complaints, right? But I'll be honest with you, we don't field the phone calls like I did 4 or 5 years ago. The parents seem to be happy. How happy they're going to be after they play 7 tournaments and depending on wins and losses and playing time and all that. Our coaches practice through the winter. We hold clinics in the fall. We're here for the kids. That's the main thing. That's why I'm still in it. That's why Ben's in it. We're here to give back to the kids and their families. And the coaches, I'll just shout out to the coaches. They're the biggest key to the whole thing. They really are. And we've got some top level coaches. We've got 3 or 4, at the high school age group, we've got 3 or 4 local high school coaches that have been in it a long, long time, very well respected. Kevin Goins, he's on the board. He's been on the board since we started this thing. He's a big part of it. Cody Christopher, Donnie Covington. Those guys, they kind of hold the club together and really do a great job, as well as everybody else.
And then lastly, first, not even year, but first few months, utilizing Playbook, how has that helped you guys out? What are the most valuable parts of it? What would you like to see more of in the future? Just give us a rundown on your experience thus far.
I'll tell you what I like about you all is you're in the baseball world. You know what it's taken to run a program and the showcase, and you can handle all of it. Now I will say, there's a lot to the back end of things, all the color coded dots and everything, and the menu. But once you learn it, it's the most mobile system I've ever seen. The other systems we've used has not even come close to handling everything that we want to do. And that's why we're partnering with you all. That's why we're getting ready to partner on all the other stuff. And your people are responsive, Jay and Austin and Troy. You've been great, Nelson. And, we appreciate what y'all are bringing to the table, because as we elevate this thing and go a bunch of other directions, y'all will be a big part of it.
And one of the things I'm most impressed with is, as we were kind of going through the discovery phase, we would ask a question and say, hey, can y'all do this? And I don't think you ever said no. And I don't want to set that bar too high, but, I was really impressed that if we said, hey, can we change this field or change the way this button looks, or, just kind of little things that do matter on the user end. I don't think there was one time where you guys said, nope, we can't do that. And so your all's flexibility and customer service has definitely, it probably exceeded expectations.
It's a big part of it. We know that we don't know everything, and we know everybody runs their business a little bit different. So giving you the ability to do stuff optimally in the way that you see fit, that's kind of what we hang our hat on. So thanks for acknowledging that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything y'all are doing.
So anything else? That's all I have. Anything else you guys want to add? Or
we appreciate everyone's support. And if you want to, on the softball side, go to the website and check it out. We're trying to get the tournaments up and running and get them filled up, so there's spots left. We welcome all. We want teams from other states, and we want to build out profiles and do what's right for the girls and try to help them out. So yeah, let's get it going.
So, well, thank you guys so much. And I know we went over time here. Much appreciated. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Yeah. Nelson,
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
All right. Bye.